You all know about Wario. Even more of you know about Waluigi, a dynamic and dastardly duo almost as iconic as the Mario brothers themselves. But what if that duo was a trio? Hello all, I'm Carbonated-Jem. You might know me from my Twitter art or my hit video about Sonic and turkeys. Today I'm here to talk about a subject that I found myself very interested in. And lucky for me, by the time this video comes out, there will be at least 50 other videos talking about the exact same subject in greater details. 10,000 subscribers, here I come! The day I'm writing this vid, the original creator of Waluigi, Fumihide Aoki, revealed concept art for WaPeach on Instagram, and the internet already had a vast amount of reactions to it. From positive to negative, meh to bleh. People from what I've seen have had very divisive reactions to this scrapped character, and my silly little ass finds that quite interesting. So I wanted to talk about the information I could find on both WaPeach and Waluigi, along with just the general discussion behind the idea of a WaPeach, because I've got opinions and Wikipedia. Oh, and shout out to the channel Designing For and their recent video on the history of Waluigi. Without that, I wouldn't be nearly as interested in this subject. Go check them out, but watch this video first, please. I need the subscribers and the money. Now, before we can get to either of these two characters, we need to start with the man, the myth, the legend, Wario. Wario's first appearance was in Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins, as the primary antagonist. He would of course explode into a popular series of platformers, minigame collections, and many spin-off appearances, but that isn't important here. What's important is Wario's design. The developers of Metroid and Kid Icarus were tasked with making a Super Mario game for the Game Boy, which gave us the infamously odd Super Mario Land, featuring aliens, Egypt, and another future fan favorite in Princess Daisy. But making a game like this, with a character like Mario, didn't sit well with the team. They didn't enjoy developing a game for somebody else's character. So in their distaste, they, in their own words, symbolized their situation to create everyone's favorite greedy treasure hunter, Wario. With the pun name literally meaning bad Mario. Wario was designed to be the evil counterpart to Mario in as many ways as possible. Everything about Wario is either an exaggeration of one of Mario's features or a counter opposite to those other features. Mario's chubby, Wario's fucking massive. Mario's mustache is nice and well kept. Wario's looks like it got run over by a truck. Mario's got a big nose. Wario's is bigger and so pink that you can't fucking miss it. All of Wario's good traits were converted to rude behavior and greed. You can see all these traits and more throughout the following 4 Wario Land games and all their advertising. And in the mystical year of 2000, when Wario Land 3 was releasing, we would see Mario Tennis 64 for the N64. Most people probably know this part of the story by now. Wario needed a doubles partner, but no one in the pre-existing cast really fit with him. Though, imagine if he was hanging out with Birdo. So the developers Camelot pitched to Nintendo the idea of a counterpart to Luigi who could join up with Wario. So the developer of the game, Camelot, pitched to Nintendo and Shigeru Miyamoto the idea of a counterpart to Luigi who could join up with Wario. They got the go-ahead, and Fumihide Aoki went to work designing everyone's favorite Smash Bros. Assist trophy, Waluigi. Like Wario, his design is made up from the extremes and opposites of Luigi, sharpening and lengthening all of Luigi's features into one lanky little freak, little in quotes. At this point in time, Luigi hadn't really been fleshed out, so unlike Wario and Mario, there wasn't really a lot else to contrast these characters beyond making Waluigi into an asshole, compared to Luigi just being your friendly neighbor with a nice lawn. At the same time that Waluigi was made, Camelot devs also commented about creating a counterpart for Peach, a WaPeach, if you will. Now at this point, there's 2 stories here. One is more commonly known, while the other I only just recently discovered while digging around for this. The most common story in what's listed on my best friend Wikipedia, thanks Wikipedia, you make scripting this in one night very easy, is that when Miyamoto was initially told about the idea of WaPeach, he rejected it immediately, saying that the design wouldn't look cute enough. We'll get to that second story a bit later for dramatic purposes. For years, we had no idea what this supposed WaPeach would be like. All we had was the general idea that would do to Peach what Wario and Waluigi did to Mario and Luigi. Over the years, people have had many opinions of what a WaPeach should look like, and some might say, we already have one. A common joke you'll see in the community is that Daisy is the one true WaPeach. Altered color scheme, a tomboyish personality in contrast to Peach's more traditionally feminine personality, and a rougher voice to contrast the softer tones of Peach. But beyond the colors changing, she doesn't really contrast Peach design-wise. Also, she didn't come into existence before the idea of Wario, so any potential as a WaPeach is pretty much a coincidence. But if you look at the manga adaptation of the second Super Mario Land game, you get Wario Daisy, where Daisy finds herself corrupted by Wario. This happened before the introduction of Waluigi, and was even before Daisy herself became a recurring character in the actual games. Her design was basically Daisy's with a darker outfit, messier hair, and what I can only really describe as a slightly meaner face. I love this design, to be honest. It's very simplistic, but also like cute as hell. So you could argue that this Daisy is also the true WaPeach. I wasn't aware of this one until researching, but a more common and actually serious candidate for the one true WaPeach is Captain Syrup, the antagonist of the first two Wario Land games. She also appeared in Wario Land Shake It as an ally. My understanding is limited since I'm not really an expert in the Wario Land franchise. Hi Rudy the Clown, I love you. But it does kind of make sense. Peach is a kind-hearted and sweet princess ruling over a kingdom of little mushroom people, while Syrup is just as selfish as Wario and rules the seas with an army of gooms, as they're called in English, which I guess means they're just like another offshoot of Goombas. I guess fucking Mario enemies are confusing. And while Mario's always chasing after Peach to save her, Wario chases after Syrup to steal her treasure. Someone with a lot more in-depth knowledge on the theory could give a more solid reasoning behind this. This is just another facet of the subject that I thought I should really bring up. This one's probably never been brought up by anyone, so it doesn't really belong here, but Now, I'm gonna let my autism win here. We're talking about rabbits. So in the original Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom battle, we get the appearance of Wario and Waluigi, who themselves are another layer of warping design on this fucked up cake. Wario is just as boisterous as Wario, but is so lacking in bulk and size that he's around the same height, if not shorter, than Mario himself. And Waluigi is a fucking behemoth compared to Waluigi. You fight them twice in the game, and in the second encounter, you fight them alongside the Lava Queen. And not to spoil things ahead of us, but the idea of a WaPeach leading the two knuckleheads isn't out of the question. Does the Lava Queen have anything that really sets her up as WaPeach? Well, flirty and seems to like Mario. She's a queen instead of a princess. Lava is the opposite of a peach, right? Okay, yeah, let's move on. I just like rabbits, okay? Wait, actually, is Rabbid Peach a potential WaPeach? There's one more instance of a potential WaPeach in official games, though this one's more of a joke than a real candidate. In Wario Land 4, the game ends with a little black cat that's been following you throughout the adventure, transforming into Princess Shakora. The amount of treasure you will collect throughout the game will decide what form the princess will take. For 2 to 5 treasures, her form will resemble that of Wario, but more feminine. Beyond what we have, that's kind of it though. It's basically just like 2 sprites. Really not a lot for this one. It really is just kind of like a gag ending if you suck at the fucking game. Moving on, but that's just examples within the actual series of potential WaPeaches. What should be the real WaPeach? Well, fans may have the answer to that. Beyond what we have in the actual games, fans have, for years, speculated and discussed what people think a WaPeach, and even a WaDaisy, should look like in terms of design. There have been 2 camps formed over the years since the idea of WaPeach was initially revealed. Camp 1, which from what I can tell has been the more common design idea for the majority of time, is that a WaPeach should just be an evil hot chick, with a personality that twists all of Peach's traits, but generally doesn't change the design in any drastic way like Wario or Waluigi. I imagine that if Nintendo really made an evil Peach rival in this day and age, that's what they would prefer her design to be. Maybe not the hot part, gotta stay kid friendly, but that's what I would speculate they'd go for at the very least. Captain Syrup or WaruDaisy would fit most into this camp. Camp 2, which I've really seen blow up in the past 5 years, especially on Tumblr, is the idea that a WaPeach should be as extreme as Wario and Waluigi. Big nose, crazier proportions in either character's direction, and facial features that wouldn't be considered conventionally feminine like Peach. The alternate design for Princess Shakora would be the closest to this take in canon. Personally, I think both camps are valid. So after all of that, it's December 1st, 2023, and the original character designer for Waluigi shows off not just the concept art for WaPeach, but also a 3D model that was supposed to be used in the game. What's she look like? Is she hot, crazy, skinny, fat? What the fuck is up? She's none of those things. So yeah, the Mario and Wario fan base got a little crazy after this. Most were ecstatic to see this design finally be revealed, and plenty of people immediately latched onto her with fan art abound. However, just as many people found themselves disappointed. This design is completely different from anyone's expectations. The Camp 2 crowd especially seemed disappointed, since even if this design wasn't really the hot chick many others envisioned for a WaPeach on account of her being a small child with a tennis racket, she was still a conventionally cute and normal-looking character beyond the outfit. There's a lot to discuss with this, so excuse my inane bullshit because I find all of this very interesting. First off, if this is your first time seeing WaPeach after being told that she was rejected because because she wouldn't be cute. Or maybe you heard from other circles that WaPeach was supposed to be a girlfriend for Wario. You're probably wondering what the fuck is up, because Wario is very obviously not going to date a child, especially not on Nintendo's watch. It should be noted that this WaPeach is actually the second concept made for this character. She was made for Mario Power Tennis for the GameCube and not Mario Tennis 64. So technically, this is not the WaPeach we've all been waiting for. Could be close though, said it already, but most are against this design behind WaPeach because she's kind of just a weird little girl. A weird little girl with an axe, but still just a weird little girl. Where's the crazy proportions, the scary eyes, the weirdo personality? Why is this WaPeach like this? Well, you ever hear of Yatterman? This is Duranjo, and she is the primary inspiration for this version of WaPeach, the leader of the Duranbo Gang, a trio of antagonists well known in Japan. And if you look at her two lackeys, Tanzura and Boyaki, you're almost immediately going to start thinking of Wario and Waluigi. You'd probably even imagine that they were directly inspired by them. Kind of. Wario, of course, has nothing to do with this. He was designed by a different team with a completely different idea behind him. Waluigi, on the other hand, well, to quote a 2008 interview with Shugo Takahashi, thanks Google Translate,
"It was already decided from the beginning that he would have a thin body. I instructed the graphic reader to create Luigi's bad guy that would be part of a set with Wario, but the reader responded, 'Is it like the Duranbo Gang from Yatterman?' Certainly. It started with the idea that Tanzler and Boyaki were a good fit. Of course, that doesn't mean I'm imitating the character, but I just want the character to have a good deco and concave feel. For example, if you have a big person and a small person, or a thick person and a thin person, you can create a team that is well balanced in terms of appearance and ability. So, I thought that such combinations would be good. After all, it's fun to watch the combinations that work so well together in doubles."
So Boyaki was somewhat the inspiration for Waluigi, but only on the most surface level degree, because skinny and fat duos are just a good design trope when handled well. Furthermore, Waluigi's original designer also said on Instagram that Waluigi looking like Boyaki was a coincidence.
Hey, so editor's note here, when I was going through the project files to find the screenshot for this, we don't have it. And we can't really get one either because the designer's account's privated on Instagram right now, so you're just gonna have to take our word at face value for this one. Sorry, guys.
This same 2000 interview also brings us back to the second version of why WaPeach was rejected back on N64. To quote again,
"I thought, next time, let's make a WaPeach, but Shigeru Miyamoto thought, even if I don't see it, it probably looks like Duranjo anyway. Apparently it was over before I could show it, lol. The original idea is different, so it doesn't turn out to be Duranjo."
So that's two conflicting stories as to why WaPeach was rejected. It's either because she wouldn't be cute, or because Miyamoto didn't want it to seem like they were ripping off Duranjo. Which one is true? Well, given that this interview's existed since 2008 and the Wikipedia is still saying it's for the former reason, I imagine that one might have more truth to it. There's another reason I buy into the first story being more true. Fumihide Aoki's replies on Instagram have given a lot of insight into this design. The comment here implies that the way she was designed was specifically made with the intention of giving her another chance. I mean, the original idea for WaPeach probably was something more akin to a more out there looking design. Through Instagram replies, we can also confirm that yes, Duranjo inspired this design, though that was already kind of obvious just by looking at the design side by side. While WaPeach or Preach isn't designed to be hot like Duranjo, she still shares a similar silhouette, just made cuter. I think what makes this design most interesting to me is the implications it has on the Mario and Wario franchises as a whole. We have info from Aoki that the dynamic he envisioned for these three would have a similar dynamic to Duranjo and her minions, with WaPeach bossing around Wario and Waluigi. And despite her cute appearance, she would apparently have a quite scary side when she's angry. Even beyond that, if WaPeach actually got into Mario Power Tennis, she would have replaced Bowser in terms of role in the opening cutscene, making her a major antagonist on the same level as him. That's fucking crazy, especially when you consider just how iconic that opening cutscene is to the Mario franchise. This could have completely changed the course of future appearances for both Waluigi and Wario himself, since WaPeach most likely would have appeared in any future spin-off games. Hell, with this new dynamic, she could have become a major part of the Wario franchise. Wario's treasure hunts could have been done in order to appease WaPeach, or maybe an act of rebellion against her. Hell, this could mean we'd actually get Waluigi in a mainline Wario game playable. If the idea is that they're an evil trio, you can't just have one not appear. So all three of them would have to be like there at the same time. Or again, it's just Wario and like maybe fucking WaPeach is the boss or something. Is this wild speculation I'm making in the middle of the night? Yes, but it's fun speculation, so I don't give a shit. According to another reply on Instagram, one of the reasons given for why WaPeach was rejected this time was because she'd have nobody to partner with, a problem you wouldn't have with Bowser because of Bowser Jr. Which is fair, there's only so many times you can make a new character for the sake of doubles of tennis. Then again, since WaPeach and her new dynamic were inspired by Durango and the Durango gang, you could always take this a step further and introduce a villain to fill in the role of Doko Ruby, the leader of the Durango gang. The only issue at that point is, would he be a wholly original design or another Wa character? And of who? Bowser? Wa Bowser? What the fuck would that even look like? And what of the lore? I didn't even think of the lore! Though a simpler solution would be for WaPeach to be hired by Bowser to wrangle in Wario and Waluigi, and then just throw Bowser Jr. into the abyss and have her take his place. And just have her continue to boss around the two of them because they're scared of her. That would mean they'd still need a real partner for her in future games, but that's for future hypothetical game developers to figure out, and we're talking about past hypothetical video game developers. Should also be noted that it could just be a case of Nintendo not wanting WaPeach to be a thing conceptually. All of that aside, there's still one big point here to be discussed. Is WaPeach a good WaPeach? The context allows us to understand why she's designed this way, but the main issue people have is that she doesn't embody any of the traits people wanted for a WaPeach. She isn't a hot villainess or a warped version of Peach. Aoki said once again on Instagram that he wanted to make WaPeach's design defy everyone's expectations in a good way, and while there's already plenty of fans of this version of the character and already a pretty adorable headcanon that she's the adopted daughter of Wario and Waluigi, there's plenty of people who would say their expectations were defied in a more disappointing way. What do I think? Well, I think part of it may be that we've had the original interview that WaPeach was discussed in for 23 years now. We've had years and years to speculate what a WaPeach could be or should be. Meanwhile, Mario Power Tennis was only 4 years after the N64 Classic, way before internet culture was what it is today. The knowledge of WaPeach was probably almost exclusive to Japan and obscure forums in the West. I'm sure plenty still theorized what a WaPeach could actually look like without that interview. Helps that Wario Land 4 and its take on the concept was a year after Tennis 64. But there was barely any expectation, and what was there was most likely Peach, but ugly. Hell, people hated Waluigi around that time, so they might not have even been excited by the idea of a WaPeach at the time. So for its time, I think WaPeach could have worked as a WaPeach, and would have probably been a fan favorite later on in the same way Waluigi is, especially if her dynamic with her two minions was strong enough. And I do think she has some traits that could potentially be a good contrast to Peach. Peach is a mature, dignified, regal woman. WaPeach, based on what we have from Aoki, is a bratty, scary little child who fucking hates Peach and might be from a fallen kingdom. But yeah, I think she would have worked best at her time. But those were my thoughts at like 11 p.m. Then I had like an hour-long conversation with my editor Yves, and I'm now revising the end of this script literal hours before I have to record it. I am a professional, thank you. So my new conclusion is that while I do think both camps are very valid, and I've seen plenty of cool designs and story potential from fans of both camps, I now think that this version of WaPeach is the most interesting one we could have gotten in terms of actual potential. The way I and Yves think of it, whether Nintendo made a WaPeach that takes the hot chick angle or the conventional Wa design philosophy angle, they would have ended up one note. They'd still get all the spin-off appearances, but just like Waluigi, you wouldn't see them at any mainline capacity. With Camp 1, they'd probably be like fun, but just another face in the crowd when it comes to the leading ladies of Nintendo. And her being stuck in spin-off territory is not doing her any favors. If they did Camp 2, quite frankly, I don't know if I'd trust Nintendo to really do anything that wouldn't be tasteless. Even if they had a personality as fun as Wario or Waluigi, I struggle to imagine that in the limited space of sports and party games, their humor wouldn't end up being anything beyond, isn't it funny that she's not hot? And I really need to emphasize that I am not saying that anyone who still wants these design concepts to be used in an official capacity are doing so with these mindsets. I am very specifically shit-talking Nintendo's ability to do this in an interesting fashion outside of, like, the RPGs. I said it already, but plenty of people have made their own characters based on these ideas with wonderful results. But they aren't a company with a status quo and a quote-unquote squeaky clean image to maintain. Back to my main point, I really think that this idea for a WaPeach, a bratty little girl that scares the shit out of Wario and Waluigi into doing her bidding, could have been the best possible outcome for this kind of character in the long term. Sure, she'd make for a new rival for Peach, but more importantly, as I mentioned earlier, the dynamic of Wario and Waluigi and the potential dynamic of every game after Power Tennis could have been completely shifted with just this one character introduction. I could literally make a video nearly as long as this one going over the games that could have been made with this character in mind, the way she could have appeared in future spin-offs, and the way Wario games would change, and the way Waluigi's presence in the franchise could have changed, all because of one weird little girl with an axe. Do I think this idea would work today? Not really. If you introduced a status quo change, like a small child threatening Wario and Waluigi with violence, it would absolutely piss off most of their fan bases. And it's entirely possible that if this change took place when it was meant to, it could have just as equally hurt the Wario franchise's marketability. This is all just wild speculation on my part at the end of the day. And I'm not really setting out with the goal to make everyone like this idea for a WaPeach. I just wanted to show that this version of the character should be given a fair chance before writing her off for being too different from our expectations. At the end of the day, whether you like her, hate her, or are just indifferent and killing time with a random video you found on YouTube while you do your taxes, I think we can all at least appreciate this amazing discovery of some almost lost Mario history. Have a great day, everyone. Stay hydrated. Hey everybody, it's Jem here. I'm just recording an outro for the little video. I hope you enjoyed it. This is a subject I was immediately interested in doing like a video for, because it's like now that I have like YouTube as a thing I'm doing, I guess, just like I get to actually talk about my opinions and be able to, I guess, publicize them. And I saw how like kind of controversial this was. I was like, I want to give my opinion. I had a lot of fun making the art assets for this, especially the like my personal takes on the different like design philosophies for a WaPeach. I'm honestly really happy with how they turned out. Not super much on the fucking Waluigi direction, but like the fucking, I guess, more Wario Daisy leaning and the like Wario leaning designs, like I was really happy with. I'm probably gonna like redo all three of them and make them just OCs for my comic. And speaking of my comic, please consider joining my Patreon, which should hopefully be linked in the video here and like also in the description. You can see art early there. At the beginning of every month there is a poll where you can vote for what I will draw that month. It includes both a versus pick and a like just a single character pick. Yeah, go join. And I'm thinking that starting with the next video, I'm going to read off the names of patrons that are subscribed to me at the end of each video, because, you know, that's the YouTuber thing to do, right? Other than that, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you.